Yep, to absolutely nobody's surprise, other than maybe that one guy you know who insists he is a PUBG type of girl, we have Fortnite on Nintendo Switch. Even less surprising but equally delightful is the fact it released on the spot, free of charge onto the eShop. What I bet you didn't know is that there are quite a few things to make you happy and a little bit sad about the Switch port. I could tell you them all over voice chat, but oh wait, yeah. Fortnite pushed its way through the crowd of established survival games, such as DayZ and H1Z1, to stand atop their dead carcasses. But this time, that's not a shotgun in hand, it's a Nintendo Switch, undocked. But is it just a mobile phone version? Let's find out. Remember, each month we're giving away a free game on the Nintendo Switch to those subscribers who leave a comment and generally stay engaged on the channel. The graphics are surprisingly close to the console brothers, with the usual Switch caveats. Firstly, frame rate is quite smooth for the most part, but to my highly trained nerd vision, this is not 60 frames per second by any means. However, it looks more than 30 frames per second at times. Strangely, if they didn't cap it to 30 frames per second on Switch, that is an unusual decision. Players used to 60 frames per second fluidity for other consoles will notice it immediately, and the difference it makes to the feel of the game and precise aiming is quite immense. The graphics are by no means bad, but when you compare them side by side, even with something like a mobile version on, say, the iPhone X, they look substandard and frankly a little disappointing. Still, this is the first build on Switch. We've seen that other companies have got to grips with the architecture and, quite frankly, the underpowered Tegra 1 to some impressive results. Wolfenstein 2 shows a clear graphical improvement over, say, Doom. I expect the same for Fortnite, as it currently looks good but a long way from native resolution, and the visuals have that token Switch blurriness which screams dynamic scaling. The issue with this is seeing characters at a distance. Anyone who played Rocket League when it first came out can attest just how bad the blur can be, and you can barely see the ball. Overall graphics are just okay for now. While they run well enough, the blur is an issue and the frame rate is inconsistent. If you've never played it on PC, you will find it absolutely fine. They score 14 out of 20. Not everyone has played Fortnite. My mum, that kid in Stranger Things who controls things with her mind, and maybe the Queen. No wait, she's great at Fortnite. Pretty sure she comes top 10 most rounds. Anyway, you get the point. Most people know how the game plays, so this is for everyone else. You control a character aboard the battle bus, a colourful blue bus blasting across the skies, filled with all of Katniss Everdeen's school pals. You essentially parachute onto an empty island which is filled with varying types of loot. Once you've picked your landing spot, you can mark this on your map so that you don't get lost, or you can just glide down. This is going to show on your compass at the top of the screen. Opening your map, you can get a closer view of the island. The aim here is simple: survive. The way you do that is either through offense or defense, or a combination of the two. All the while there is a threat of an ever-shrinking play zone. Here, a blue storm will shrink every 2 minutes. When you're within the storm, it will damage the player. This damage only increases the smaller the storm gets. The island here isn't massive, unlike PUBG, and actually this creates a much faster paced game. Generally, you can have around 5 to 10 minute rounds, up to a maximum of maybe 50 to 20 minutes. That's much less than PUBG, and it's probably why the game's been much more popular with younger players, and the age rating and stuff. Throughout the level, you'll find various loot in the form of either weapons, medical supplies, and shields. Weapons are already equipped with everything you need to get going. No need to swap out scopes or attachments. Here, it's all about the solid shooting mechanics that are easy to pick up but difficult to master. That's not to say there are only one version of each gun. You begin with the common weapons, but can find uncommon, rare, epic, and even legendary variants. Each have quicker reload, fire rate, and/or damage. This system works really well to keep everything moving at a nice click, but also has that Borderlands feeling of euphoria when you find the legendary gun. The name is there for a reason. You can build structures and steps from the wood you either gather from breaking trees or collecting. You'll also collect stone and metal. These are stronger and allow you to create superior structures that can take more abuse. Generally, for example, when you need to heal, you'll build a structure for protection against incoming fire. You'll also be able to find traps, some which require a flat surface you must build. There's nothing quite as satisfying as a well-baited trap catching a new Switch Fortnite player as he scrambles around like a headless chicken looking for ammo. Launch pads, gliders and campfires are all remnants of the game's original survival origins, but add to the fun you can have and really create a sense of fun throughout the game. Combining these elements, you have a recipe for a game that was just meant to be played with friends. Dances are a huge part of that fun, with popular dances being added to the game all the time. Battle passes can be purchased, but this is the best type of free-to-play. They offer no real advantage to the game. XP boosts are the closest to this, and even then it makes no difference to my chance of winning a round, which is fantastic. There are the occasional glitches which can cause issues like players glitching through stairs or some lag, which is currently an issue across all platforms, particularly the PC. Overall though, the game is incredibly fun, which is why it has become so popular on all platforms, and will most definitely be the case on Nintendo Switch. It scores 18 out of 20. The famous music of the battle bus and its horn was a joy to hear on the Switch. Ambient sounds are all pleasant enough and correct, and thankfully the footsteps can be heard clearly, so you can hear where players are approaching from. You can creep and try and reduce this, and camping are options, but the pace is definitely much faster here, so expect to be using that directional sound to pinpoint your foes. Weapon sounds are solid, and you can hear and see via the indicator on screen where the enemy is shooting from. There is nothing exceptional here in terms of sound, but they all work well and you feel like you're spatially aware of what's going on. Sound scores 15 out of 20. You control your character in standard first-person shooter style, with the analog sticks for moving and looking. You shoot with the triggers and access your inventory quite easily. In handheld mode, I would have hoped to see the touchscreen used, but nope, nothing doing. All of your interactions will have to be done with the analog sticks and clicks. A real missed opportunity for sure, but one I'm sure we'll see patched in the future. My main gripe with the game is that they haven't implemented motion controls. If you're a high-ranked Splatoon 2 player, you'll know just how well you can play with motion controls. They're essentially the closest controls to a mouse and keyboard on a console, and are certainly far superior to a terrible Joy-Con or the analog sticks available. Still, if you have a pro controller, you can at least expect to compete with players from around the world on different consoles. Controls score 14 out of 20. When they put motion control support in place, this will jump right up. Now, value is a no-brainer really, or is it? The game releases free of charge, and that's just fine and dandy if you've never played it before. Brilliant value, spot on. But wait, if you own the game on PS4, expect to be less than impressed. Currently, if you purchased battle packs and other goodies on the PS4 version, using your standard login on the Nintendo Switch will reveal everything you worked so hard for is gone. Those packs you bought on PS4, gone. That sweet gear you acquired, gone. Currently, good old Sony are blocking the ability for this to port across, and nobody's really sure why. Well, that's not true. We do know why. Pretty much fear and money. Fear that people will play the Switch version more and not the PS4, hence Sony coffers will be less full of, well, money. And money because, well, money, really. It's not a fault of the Switch version per se, but it's definitely worth considering. If you have the PS4 version, you might want to stay there. That being said, the Switch version will soon, please Epic, have motion control support, which in my opinion makes it the version to play, other than PC. Value here is incredible really. When I was a kid, I would have done anything for a game that didn't cost me the £50 I paid for GoldenEye on the N64. Value scores 19 out of 20. That remaining 1 is for those poor souls who spent a ton of cash on PS4 and now have nothing to show for it. All of this gives Fortnite on Nintendo Switch a current score of 80%. Doesn't have motion controls, the visuals are not on point, but the gameplay is all intact, and there's a bonus prize. They say that they're going to unlock native voice chat within the game, so no need for a weird application on your phone. You'll be able to just speak using a normal headset. So yeah, why didn't Nintendo do that already? Who knows. Cheers guys, if you enjoyed this review, please hit that like button. Maybe consider subscribing if you enjoy the other content on the channel. If not, totally understand. And I'll see the rest of you on the next one. See ya!